What happens when a couple of friends deep dive into silly Star Wars thoughts and questions you never knew you needed answered?
Do you think that Shmi and Qui-Gon did the Funky Town dance?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. 100% that was her being like, come on, let's go to bed, you know?
She was coming to invite us.
Yeah.
Join us for some casual conversation on the Cantina Chat podcast featuring Jordan and Sean.
All right. Thanks for joining us in to another episode of the Cantina Chat podcast. As always, we're joined here with Mr. Jedi Jester Jordan.
Hey, that's me.
How's it going, man?
Good, buddy.
We have our producer with us today as well, the Force Ghost on the Coast. How you doing, girl?
Yeah, I'm good.
Threw her off with that one.
I know.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
no, never.
Hey, girl. Doesn't feel right. No.
Well,
15 years.
15 years,
Weird.
finally get a hey girl.
All right, nice. Well, we've got kind of a fun, unusual episode here today because normally we like to do some sort of a review on a show or something of that sort. We're taking a quick little pause on that, and we're going to do a segment we call Rebel Replay, where this one we're going to be reviewing video games, talking about Star Wars related games that, you know, over the years that we may have liked or that we want to recommend, something along those lines. Just get the chance really to talk about some of our favorite games.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is there's so many games out there.
God, there's so
You know, I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars everything. We have plenty of movies, plenty of shows to go over and stuff like that. But the video game world for Star Wars over the years has grown so massive.
It's massive.
So,
And it used to be like even more big, I feel like, than it is now. Like when I was looking through these lists of the things I've played back in the day, they were just popping out all the time,
Oh,
right
yeah.
and left.
Yeah.
And then, you know, up till now, we've had a little bit less frequent, but there's still some bangers in the new ones.
oh yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you have the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah,
Both
those are
of those
great
games are amazing, and those
Ah.
were two that I wanted to talk about today.
for sure. When you look at the ones that you know of, does like a knee-jerk reaction just your ultimate favorite? If you were to say this is hands down my favorite, or is it like close?
One that I always think about a lot, that I used to play a lot when I was like young, was the Phantom Menace game.
Okay.
So it takes you playing as Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, you play as Panaka, you know, and you go through and you kind of go through all the scenes in the movie and stuff like that. Like you're on Naboo, you're in Theed,
Right.
you're in the droid carrier ship. The
Okay,
one
yeah.
that lands down, you know, you get on that from the, you know, so it kind of plays you through everything that you see in the movie, which is really cool.
Yeah.
When I was young, that was the game. Like I played it all the time. And I used to think, and we talk about video games a lot, you know, just
Yeah.
me and you, and how the games we remember how they look. It was like so crisp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you think of the Phantom Menace game. Well, I mean, Phantom Menace came out in '99.
So, yeah.
The game came out in 2001. I don't know,
Right.
but it came out, you know, whenever. You go back and like I see like there'll be like little snippets on like YouTube of that game and stuff like that people record, and it is like it's blocky, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
so bad
early
looking.
2000s, late 90s video game, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember looking like that at all, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I haven't played it since I was super young anyway. You know, I still have the case, which I can't remember if I showed you the case or not. I
don't
found
think
it the
so,
other
no.
day from just a box that I had.
Okay.
And I was going through the box and I found the case and I was like, dude, if this game's in here, that's gonna be awesome. The game
That's
wasn't in
cool.
there, but the
Oh.
box sure is.
It is funny how our memories of something like especially a game, they will auto upscale to like 4K because
Yeah.
in my brain, man, that thing looked like the coolest thing
Yeah.
or whatever. And then you're like, wait a minute, when you go back and you look at this thing, it didn't play good.
No.
It didn't look good.
No, not at
it's
all.
a little bit different sometimes than you might be
The
thinking.
only game that to me still runs really well that is older is like the Jedi Knight Jedi Academy,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
They hold up pretty well
They
all
do.
the time. Yeah.
I remember I was talking to you about that game too, and I hadn't played it in a while. I've beaten this game, I don't know how many times. Like I still play it. I mean, I beat it not that long ago. You know, I restarted another character the other like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. Like I'll just casually go back to it and play it.
In Academy, you're
In the
talking about?
Academy, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember texting you and being like, dude, I just started playing this game again. You know, it's freaking awesome. I love it. And I was like, and it still looks pretty clean.
Yeah.
And then it got to the picture of their face and when they were talking, and I was like,
When it zooms up for
yeah,
a cinematic or
it's literally
something,
just
yeah.
up and down mouth movements. And I was like, Oh, no, I forgot. You know?
It's
But
like
I mean, for the game, like for how old it is and stuff like that, it still
right.
looks good,
I
still
think it
plays well. The
might
mechanics are
be
good.
the first game I ever at least remember where like the lightsabers combat and stuff, it just
Yeah,
felt great,
it
and
really
you would
did.
actually see like when your guy would just be holding a saber, if you like walked down a hallway, it would leave a trail of like a burn mark on the
Yeah,
ground and stuff like that, and when you would swing, it like would delimb and stuff like that. And I'm like, for an old game, like that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
In some ways, some of the brand new ones like Jedi Survivor and stuff didn't necessarily do some of those things.
No, Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, like they would leave the scorch marks, like scar marks on the
A
walls and
little
stuff. It
bit.
would be black, stuff like that. So they did a good job at that. But I do feel like just the random scorch, like the actual like the sparks coming off of the saber and stuff
Yeah.
like that, they don't do that anymore.
No.
And it's like, well, that kind of sucks.
Right.
But
Right. No, I do think Academy is one of my favorite.
yeah,
It's one that holds up really well over time, and it's great fun still.
yeah,
It has a really fun, great campaign that's long and good, and then you've got multiplayer in those games,
yeah.
and that's where it's really at,
And the
because you
cool
can
thing about
build
the
your character
multiplayer is you can play, like, granted, you can't play against people unless you're,
in the
like on
same
the same
room
console or
nowadays.
something like
Yeah.
that, but you can still do the CPU, so it's you
Hmm.
against 20 CPU or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So like that's still cool that you can go
Yeah.
through and do all that. But that game is definitely one of my top favorites too. I think that and the Phantom Menace are very side by side. The Phantom Menace
Okay.
because it's the game that I remember as a kid playing a lot, and then
Yeah.
that, the Jedi Knight Academy, that one being just because I still play it to this day.
Yeah. That's a good choice for sure.
It's cool because you're a Jedi, you're doing your thing, you're going through you're a Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Customize, do whatever you want.
I loved that. The character creator in it was really good.
Yeah.
You could do all these different things, picking your everything from your race
Mhm.
to like your class of Jedi, your lightsaber color, the hilt,
Yep.
what clothes your person was wearing.
And all the different planets you
That
go
was
to
so
too in that
cool.
game was cool. Like you went to Hoth and it was the rebel base going through everything. I thought that was cool. So it's I don't know. It's definitely a good game for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think like that the one I'm thinking of, I can't remember if it was Academy or if it was Outcast, but like you start out the campaign and like one of the first things it has you do is like cut a tree like with your lightsaber
Mhm.
to make the tree get knocked over
Yep.
to create like a path over a ravine or something like that.
Yep.
And I just remember that being like, for how old that game is,
That was cool.
that's pretty neat to be able to have mechanics
That
like
was
that.
Academy. So that was
Okay,
when you were
okay.
trying to like the ship crashed and that
Yeah,
was like
it's
the
right in
first
the
thing
very,
you do.
very
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah, that's
And
Academy.
Rosh keeps saying like if you don't do it, he's like, "Hey Jaden, cut that tree down and make a bridge."
Right.
Sometimes I just sit there and wait, so just to hear him say it
Just to
15
hear him get
times.
mad at you.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh man. I'm assuming you probably could guess what my favorite Star Wars game of all time is. So you know.
I want to say it's Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 and 2 are both great. 1 is a little bit better than the
Mhm.
second one, I would say, just because I'm obsessed with Revan and the story behind it. But
Yeah.
it's definitely like pinnacle storytelling across anything they've ever made, I
Right.
think. And like it's really well made. It's one of the first games I ever played too, where like your actions in the game are
Oh, it makes
really
your
important and change a lot of things.
Mhm.
And so it meant, obviously, for a video game, you could replay it a bunch of different times and see different effects and stuff like that. And I always
Right.
thought that was cool. But that changed everything from which of the companions would be willing to follow you. And I always thought that stuff was neat, and how you could, like, not like Academy where you would just build a character, but in this, you had, depending on your actions, good guy things and bad guy things that would
Mhm.
give you alignment towards the light or the dark side of the force, and that unlocked specific powers in its own
Right.
category and all that. So it definitely all-time favorite on that one for sure.
I can't remember if it's 1 or 2. I think it's the first one. You go down to the underworld like pretty early in the game, and there's like these slug creatures.
Mhm.
The game bugged out so hard for me on that mission. So I would go through a gate, and there's those creatures on the other side,
Yeah.
and it would like kill it, and there would be one dead, and I'm over here fighting this other one, and this other one would just pop up back alive and just and come up behind me. I died so many times there. Like after I re-downloaded it back onto the Xbox and stuff, when they brought it back,
Right.
I quit playing it because I could not. There was nothing I could do.
Yeah. I know exactly where you're talking about and all that, but for some reason I can't remember what those little guys are
Yeah.
called. But it's like a virus, and they were all poisoned, and so they've like cordoned off a specific area.
Yes.
And so you had to go into that area to get something you needed.
Yep.
But Yeah, that was pretty wild. I do know that like it's one of the few games, Knights of the Old Republic, that I have purchased. It's almost in league with Skyrim. There's been like
Yeah.
so many different versions of the game, and I've purchased that game now like 6 times for no reason, just
Right.
on different platforms or whatever. And I did the same thing with Skyrim for
Yeah.
some
Right.
reason.
Right.
And but Skyrim is probably because they kept coming out with some new version that was
Right.
the same version, and I got fooled. But but Knights of the Old Republic, I got every single platform you could put it on,
Right.
and I don't know why I had to buy it again. But some of them were way more buggy than the original like
Yeah.
first release, and they have some pretty funny things
Yeah.
that have happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are definitely cool. Um, do you have like a particular one that sticks out in your mind when it comes to like space combat, flying
Oh,
missions,
Battlefront.
stuff like that? Battlefront,
Yeah, Battlefront for sure.
classic or the
The
new ones?
classic.
Yeah. Okay.
I really liked the fact of like in the classics you could go from ship to ship. You
Yeah.
could take off in a hangar bay on your command ship, fly through the battlefield, land in their hangar bay, go
Yeah.
through
Fight them off like a boarding party with
exactly.
your friends.
Yep, you could do you
What a
should blow
great
down the reactor, the shields. You could do all this stuff from the
get back in
inside,
your ship, take back off.
or you could get in the enemy ship too, and you could
Yeah,
take
that's true.
off
You
in
could
whatever
steal
they had.
ships.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what a
thought that
great
was
point.
really cool.
It felt so much more like what it would really be like in those moments,
Yeah.
you know, because you could attack like certain like areas of the ship, and you
Mhm.
could even do it from within. It felt like you were living that part in Revenge of the Sith
Right.
where Obi-Wan and Anakin go in the
Yeah.
Grievous's ship.
Yeah.
It felt like you were one of those people, but
Yeah.
you could be a pilot or a regular trooper or whatever, and
Right.
you're like, oh,
It was cool.
that's
I
so
really
neat.
liked it.
Yeah.
Um,
Flying is actually okay. I feel like in the new rebooted Battlefronts,
I think so. I
it's
mean,
very arcadey. It's
yeah,
not phenomenal, but I
right.
think it's all right.
It's not bad. I mean, the like the controls and stuff like that and the feel of it's not a bad flight.
Yeah,
The only reason I think the original Battlefronts are better is because of the fact that you can go into the command ship, you can do all this stuff, and you don't
right.
have to just fly around.
Well, and I don't know if you remember this or not. You probably do, but like when Battlefront came out, the new one,
The first
um,
one or the second one?
the well, actually, kind of both of them, but the second one is the one I'm referring to. There were so many like negativity and all these bad things that they did
Yeah,
when the thing got released that it ended up like really tanking and all these problems were coming out. But like it came out without flying as a mode. Like they didn't even have that.
right.
They added that later, and I always thought that was like, well, a bad decision for one, but also like when they did add it, I'm like, it's pretty good for something they added after the
Yeah,
fact.
it's not bad. I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it. Me and you, we still play Battlefront 2, like the
Yeah.
new Battlefront 2. We play
Yeah,
that pretty
I actually think
often.
that's pretty. It's good now. It's a
Yeah,
shame it wasn't like that when it came out, but it
yeah.
actually is pretty good. I they all kind of have their pluses and minuses,
Every
but
game does.
you
I
know,
mean, anything does.
I think overall that one's still fun.
Yeah,
It's only fun when you have your buddies with you and you're in a nice little
yeah.
group and you're all squatted up together and you're going
Well,
through
it's
and
just
you're
like
doing
when we
whatever.
got the Death Troopers and we're
Oh yeah,
out
you're
there messing it
imitating the
up.
noise they make.
Yeah, right. Exactly, buddy.
Or is that a transformer? Because it's about the
No,
same.
you were close.
Yeah, I think that's definitely some good choices.
Yeah.
Did you ever play any of the really old, like Nintendo specific, like the Rogue Squadron
The
games?
Rogue Squadron I played a lot.
Those were phenomenal, like
That game was always
campaign
fun.
games.
Yeah,
Those were really
yeah.
good.
I really like that. I like the like, especially the fact like after you got through the game so far, you would go into your hangar and you could choose a specific ship for the mission,
Right.
and you could have A wing, a Y wing, a B wing. You could use the Millennium Falcon, an X wing,
Hmm.
and you could use the speeder, like the Hoth speeder. You could
Yeah.
use that
T-47.
T-47. You could use that, and so I always thought that was cool. And like, but you could only do it as you progress through the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they made you beat, if memory serves, they made you beat the story mission with how they wanted it. But once you did that, you unlocked now the ability to free play, and then you could
Yes,
pick whatever ship you
yes,
wanted, which is really
that's
cool.
true. Yeah.
It's a neat design. There was one that really surprised me at the time, but I played it a lot. It was called Jedi Starfighter. Did you ever play that one?
If it's the one I'm thinking about, I played it on the original Xbox, I think.
It's on the original
Yeah,
Xbox.
I played
It's
it.
you play as Adigalia, and you are her throughout the whole thing.
Right.
She befriends some pirate throughout the course of the game, and couple missions you play as his thing as well, but
Mhm.
usually he's just like a partner. I think if I remember right, there is a multiplayer mode, but the multiplayer mode was just like dogfighting each other. It was very limited.
Right.
But it was cool because you could do like my friend at the time and me spent a long time playing. There was a mode that was the fight with Obi-Wan and his Jedi Starfighter running away from the Slave One with
Okay.
Jango Fett,
Yeah.
and we would take turns who is who, and we would just play through that asteroid field over and over and
That's
over.
cool.
And like it was some weird mission where if you were Obi-Wan, your objective was survive for X amount of time.
Right.
So it's like it was like hide and seek sort
Right.
of in this big asteroid field.
Okay.
Obi-Wan always lost every single time in this game mode, but it was just a matter of how long you could last.
Right. That's cool.
And I remember just so many hours wasted
Right.
on that.
Right.
So funny.
Another old game that I played a lot of and still play it every now and then was the Pod Racer.
Yeah, yeah.
That game was cool. I still.
Do you know that game is called Episode 1 Racer and not
Yeah.
Pod Racer? Because like everybody calls it Pod Racer.
That's what it is.
It's Pod Racer. Why did they not call it Pod Racer?
Right. I don't know. They were trying to be cool about it, I guess. That's a game that I still play. I have it on my Xbox now. And I
Yeah.
play it. Me and you played it together at your house, I think. You know, we raced
It's
a
so
little bit.
fun.
It's a fun game.
It
like
is.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad, of course, beat the game before I started playing it.
Okay.
So he had, Sebulba and all this stuff. I cannot beat Sebulba in the last race to save my life.
It's hard.
I have tried multiple times. And I'm like, he has to be cheating. And of course, there's like a little side trail. Like, if you ever watch because you have like the little mini map on the top.
Shortcuts and stuff.
You see him like everybody's going this way, and there's like 4 things. Well, then he'll like veer way off and take this one little corridor way out. I try to do that, and I blow up every single time. And it doesn't matter what I have. I can't remember the pod racer's name, but I have his pod like built because you can buy attachment pieces and stuff like that.
That was another great mechanic in that game.
Yeah.
You could actually tune up your thing.
Right.
It had all the racers from the Bunta Eve and then a couple more.
Yeah.
Like it was
a cool game.
Yeah.
But I just to this day now I play it like I played it hard for like 2 weeks and just trying to get all the pods. I beat all the other races in probably 3 days just playing it, and then I get to the Sebulba and it took me I played it a week and a half after that just trying to beat Sebulba and I could not do it. So I just gave up. I haven't played it now since then.
That's crazy. I do think that older games were oftentimes way harder than modern
I completely
games.
agree.
And it's so strange because like most of them didn't. Some of them had difficulty settings, but like the older that you go back, games didn't even have difficulty settings. They were just really hard because they didn't have the ability for them to design the games to be as replayable as they do now.
Right.
So their idea for you playing it longer is that it was harder.
Yeah.
And that was by design. But like you're making me remember, it's probably more telling my age, but there's a Super Star Wars is a game for the Super Nintendo. It's a side scroller where you play as Luke, but it's like farm boy Luke with his little pistol.
Okay.
And
I think I've seen little snippet gameplays of that game.
It's not really good. It's I mean I really enjoyed it, but it's probably just because I like Star Wars. But it's just like all these random bugs. You're on Tatooine and stuff, and they're flying all around. They're trying to get. It's the hardest thing ever. You're not gonna survive. There's so many things that come at you, and you're doing all these little jumps and stuff. And there's like a giant scorpion is like the boss in the first level or whatever. It's hard to kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like it's one of those things where back then they took all these liberties in games and stuff. So like they have not necessarily Star Wars creatures and stuff in them and stuff like that.
That's
but
cool, yeah.
They made a couple of those, and I just remember them, especially as a kid, being so hard. And it's like, why? Why are they so hard? I can't do anything.
There's plenty of games like that. The one that I haven't played it in a long time. The last time I played it was probably 8 years ago because we ended up finding it and was like, cool, we'll do this and go from there. It was on PlayStation.
Okay.
That I remember it being on. Like the old PlayStation 1.
Okay.
And that was Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire. So that game, I remember being a kid on the PlayStation. I played it a lot. I thought it was cool. I'd watch my dad play it when I was a kid and all this stuff, so I played it a decent amount. I found it, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Oh no, I bought it. I rebought it.
Oh, okay.
I found it at like a like a pawn shop or garage sale, yard sale, something like that. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna get it. So I got it. Didn't even know if my PlayStation still worked. Put it in, and me and my dad were sitting there, and so we were playing it. And the first mission, you're in a B-wing.
Okay.
So you're trying to like, you're looking for, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like a triangle, like this triangle area, and like there's supposed to be like ghost fighters. Like just random squadrons are going missing, ships are going missing, all this stuff. Like they're just getting destroyed. So they're blaming it on like a ghost squad.
Okay.
So you have the rebels who are going through this to try to figure out what's going on. And like one squadron gets wiped. There was a Corellian. It was actually, oh my goodness, the Millennium Falcon.
Oh,
it was
okay.
a Corellian.
The YT-1300 freighter.
Yes. So, but it's not Han that's
Right.
piloting it. You know, it's just somebody else.
1300.
Right. So they're going through and they're sending a distress call, and then they're like, you know, they tell you they're boarding, and you watch them get blasted off. Now this is the games, the time period where they had live cutscenes.
Oh, okay.
Every cutscene was acted by real people.
I've been trying to think this whole time of what game you're talking about, and that triggered a memory.
So there was two. There was this one, and then there was, was it Shadow of the Empire? Was the
Shadow
same thing?
Shadow of the Empire was a good game,
live
but
action?
I don't remember. I don't think they had live action cutscenes.
I can't remember. But anyway, so this one had the live cutscenes, so they had actors. And it was pretty cool. I mean, it was cool.
Now, yeah.
But so like you're watching this guy, like all these squads and their actual people getting blasted, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you're in B-Wings. It's you and your captain, commander, whatever. And you're Rookie 1. That is your name.
Okay.
So you're flying through and you're like, oh, well, I don't see nothing on the scanners. Oh, wait. And then ties come in. And so they're whatever, you get blasted down. So you're like going towards the surface of this planet. Your other guy's telling you to eject. You watch a B-Wing eject. He crash lands, whatever. The shooting in that game and aiming is so hard.
Oh yeah.
Like it is
all
tough.
These old games are like,
and you only progress through, like when you're in the B-Wing and the attack happens, you only progress by destroying ships. Or you get destroyed and you have to restart.
Yeah.
So the more ships you blast, the closer you get to being able to get to this planet.
Right.
And that is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I failed so many times replaying it. It was ridiculous. And I remember being a kid, it was still hard, but like I did it because that was how games were. So you were used to it.
Right.
But going from like games we play today to the old games and trying to learn the controls and how the movement is, it is so tough.
I know.
But that game was always really cool to me. I mean, I still think it like wanted to play it now. Like if I could find my stuff, I would definitely try.
It'd be
probably
cool
play it again.
To actually play some of these again on like old consoles and stuff.
Yeah.
And hook up all the retro consoles and stuff. That'd be phenomenal. I think one of my favorite weird stories about a game is probably the dumbest game I've ever played, and it's a Star Wars game.
What is it?
And I'm curious if you've ever heard of it, but I'll tell you this story around it because the story is what made me laugh the most when I was thinking about this. But I was very young, and I think it was right after Phantom Menace came out.
Okay.
So this is like 1999, 2000, something like that.
Okay.
And my dad and I went to Kmart of all stinking places, and we bought a PC only game. And I can't remember if it was like Sim City or if it was The Sims, some random sim game. And it was something I wanted. And so I had saved up my allowance or whatever. I bought this game. And I came home from Kmart to buy a computer game from Kmart.
Right. Good old Kmart, man.
And it didn't work on my computer. My computer was too old, and it didn't work on this new game.
That happened to me once.
So I was so grumpy, and I tried to take it back to the store. I had to convince my dad to drive me back into town, do the whole thing, right? He's not happy. He's not having this. And we get up there, and the lady's like, it's a game, like, and we can't accept a return. And I'm like, what? So I've got a game that doesn't work on my computer. And so my dad throws a fit. And if you know him, like, that's rare. Like, he's super quiet and reserved and stuff. And so it was funny because he got angry enough with them that I remember them being like, okay, well, we'll do an exchange, even though we can't give you your money back, and you could go pick another game. So I went and picked this game I found, and I'm pretty sure the name of it was Star Wars Gungans, I think.
I want to say it sounds familiar.
I know it's Gungan something, and I took this thing home. This one worked in the computer, in my old PC.
Right.
And this game was so dumb and bad. This was like sort of an educational game, sort of. Do you know what Spore is? Have you ever heard of the game Spore? It was
I
like
don't
a
think so.
somewhat famous a game that Maxis made, but it was like it was kind of like that, where like you didn't even play as a character.
Okay.
You played as like I don't know, as nothing. Like you were influencing life on this planet, which in this case is Naboo, and you're creating like the living conditions sort of for all the different creatures
Okay.
that might exist on Naboo, like those weird fat cow things that kind of
The
look like ticks.
Yeah.
They all have names, they all have bios,
Right.
they're all in this game, as well as like the flowers on
Okay.
Naboo, like everything dumb like that you
Right.
could think
Right.
of. And it was for especially me as a kid, like the dumbest, most boring thing I ever experienced is just sitting there watching this thing and like you finally let these dumb little creatures come on the screen and you don't do anything with them. You just
Yeah.
watch them for a little while. I was so disappointed and angry, but that I thought it was like the weirdest like story time
Right.
of a Star Wars game I actually hated.
Right. Right. I think that it kind of the same thing about how you got the first game, it didn't work on your computer, to go back. I think that's how I got Jedi Knight Academy the first time.
Really? Okay. What a win.
I was a kid and I got Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
And it would not work on my computer.
Ah.
So
4 discs. I remember
discs.
I had that on the computer as well.
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say, I don't know, because I don't know how old GameStop is.
Right. It was probably Electronics Boutique back then.
Something. I mean,
EB
but
Games.
it was in Winston, which was like an hour, and I think like right at an hour and 10 minutes from my house, an hour and 30, something like that.
Gotcha. So you had to travel.
That was the only place that, that we would, I mean, you go to Walmart and stuff and Kmart, but I think my mom had picked Knights of the Old Republic up from Winston, from that store.
Right.
And we came home. I was so excited. Went to go do it. It would not work. So of course I got upset. I was little. I was young. I was whatever. And when I say young, I don't know. I was probably like 6.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I was a kid. And my mom she was, I'll take it back. We'll take it back next time we go, so on and so forth. A couple weeks later, she goes back, and I'm pretty sure that's how we got Knights of the Academy.
That's cool.
So
though.
it worked out really good. Fun fact, because I was 6 years old, 7 years old, whatever, I would play that game with my dad. Like he would help me with the missions and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I had nightmares.
Oh,
from
really?
If you remember the Rancors, you had the one that was there was like a bunch of people that were being imprisoned like slaves that you had to go free, and the whole time you're running around this big like maze of like a jail thing, and there was a Rancor that was like chasing you and chasing all the prisoners.
Okay, yeah.
And then there was like a radioactive Rancor that the Empire had.
Okay.
And you had to like run through this whole storage container place, trying to run away from him before you get eaten. When I was little, that gave me nightmares, which was the funniest thing. And so my mom was like, you cannot play that game anymore. So I would sit there, my dad would be playing it, he'd be doing his thing. I'd be the little kid that would like sneak through the door and like poke your head around the bookshelf so you could like watch, and he'd look at like turn around, you're like, oh, and you hide behind the thing. I used to do it all the time.
Most kids are doing this for like R-rated movies. They're like coming down.
It's me with a video game.
With the Jedi game.
Yeah, it was really funny. But I don't know. That was always kind of a funny thing that I think about a lot. I did used to do that with movies. When my parents were really big into Lord of the Rings, and they would not let me watch it when I was a kid,
right?
Because of the same thing. It would give me nightmares. And it happened to be the part where who was it? Was it Pippin that knocked the helmet down the shaft?
Yeah. Okay.
And so all the goblins come out. It was that part. And so they were like, "You go to bed. You can't watch this." And so I went into my room and I did the same thing of poking my head around the door and was like watching part of the movie or whatever. And it was that scene.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure I had nightmares.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
that's awesome. If you had to pick like a game that you think had like the most creative story, or a story that you didn't see like repeated somewhere else, which one do you think?
Oh, Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that story because
that's a movie worthy story actually.
It is.
It's
and
really good.
Everybody, we all, and I say this,
as a fan.
As a fan, the fan base wants something to do with Starkiller.
Yeah.
Granted, if that became canon, I mean, well,
It's
Star
a
Wars is
cool idea.
broken, but
I mean, so your original idea in this is
well, you would
that
just show the
Vader
cloning.
offered Luke,
Yeah.
join me,
Right.
and together we'll be strong enough we can overthrow the Emperor.
Right.
So the idea was that, what if that wasn't the first time he did that?
Right.
And what if he did that a long time ago? He decided to try to do something else. So
Right.
that's Enter Starkiller, and that whole story
What a
begins
beast.
just with that theory. And I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's also probably the coolest force powers ever on display in a game,
Oh yeah.
because you got to do not only things that were never done before, but I don't think any modern game has ever come close to displaying force powers like Force
No,
Unleashed.
I don't think so.
You could dangle
Well, the only
stormtroopers
thing-
and throw them through walls. Like, that was incredible.
Survivor,
Survivor's cool,
or was
but,
it? Which
but
one came first, Survivor or Fallen Order?
Fallen Order was
Okay,
first.
so I'm right. So yeah,
And
Survivor, you could
it's
do like
really
the
good with force powers.
Yeah.
But your guy is a Padawan, when he survives Order 66.
Yeah.
Starkiller is a monster, so that's very
Well, I'm
different
saying
in
like
the
with the
display.
whole like how Starkiller could like force choke
Oh yeah,
so many of the like stormtroopers and stuff like that, or like pick them all up, or like force punch and do all this stuff, like whatever. And like what was it? He like one of the cutscenes he like got like so mad or whatever, he like vaporized him or something like that. Do you remember that? Was that one in that game, or was
I
this?
don't
Am I
remember.
thinking of like
I
a
think
video?
No, you're probably right. I remember the really iconic scene where he yanks a Star
Oh,
Destroyer
yeah, the
out
Star
of the
Destroyer,
sky,
which was insane.
and that's pretty wild. And you're like, whoa, okay, this guy just made a
I
Star
remember
Destroyer.
when I first played that game and he did that, I was like, ah!
Everybody I know was talking about it.
Yeah,
Everybody.
it was awesome. That game, both of the, there's two of them, right? Or is there three?
Yeah, Force Unleashed 1 and 2. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there's two.
so both of those games to me are top notch.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
You
great.
can't really get past with, like you said, the force capabilities and the story behind it and all this stuff. I liked it a lot. The whole thing about making his story canon is the fact that you could kill Luke, Leia.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
Because it's a game.
Right. Like that would be. Could you imagine that?
I know.
Like
I know.
you're
That's cool.
the heroes for the rebellion, and all of a sudden this one dude comes out and kills everybody. It was awesome. One mission that I remember was when you were in the little cloning facility place of them, and you had 50 of you running down to try to stop you, and you have to fight off your own clones on like that little pad.
Okay.
Do you remember what I'm talking about? That mission was cool as crap. As well as like the whole like you're pulling, like there was one when you were running from the TIE fighters and you were like force pushing the TIE fighters away. That was cool.
That is. Yeah. I think if I was to give like a random shout out for a story that's creative, that a lot of people I don't feel like know too much about, there's old flight sims that they used to have that were PC only way back in the day as well. That I just adored. And there was a series. There was X-Wing, then there was TIE Fighter, and then there was X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. In TIE Fighter specifically, you were one of Darth Vader's like companions that flies right behind him.
Okay.
Your guy, ranks up the whole time you play. Super hard game. It's a real flight sim game. So like nothing except for like Squadrons has come close.
Right.
Since then. But it was very difficult. Really old and blocky looking and terrible, but it was a lot like the really old Wing Commander games.
I actually saw some gameplay on that today.
But the cool thing about the story in that is like you were during that time period with Vader and stuff, but then it took place even after that. But of course, during this time period, there was no such thing as 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
So they went wherever they wanted with the story, and the story they had was that Thrawn, the Emperor falls, Thrawn defects. Actually, it's prior to the Emperor falling. Thrawn defects because the Emperor's so racist.
Right.
He ends up not liking Thrawn, and Thrawn just keeps rising through the ranks.
Right.
So Mon Mothma and all the Rebel Alliance convinces Thrawn to come over, and Thrawn's troops are so loyal to him that he has a whole, armada of his Chimera Star Destroyer, and then whatever other troops he had with him. They're all defecting as well. And so it becomes this wild, like, story where you've got Mon Calamari cruisers, you've got the Home One, you've got the Chimera Star Destroyer, the Executor comes flying in, you've got Vader and his group, the Vader's Fist or whatever they were called, and there's just chaos, just these massive space battles. It was so fun. I was like, imagine a story like that.
The cool thing about that game and doing like the fact that Thrawn would defect is that after reading the books and watching how Thrawn works and all this stuff, I could see Thrawn defecting and like just
Yeah.
causing pure chaos.
Oh yeah.
That would be killer
Yeah.
because you know that Thrawn's, and
He
we're
would
kind of
have-
getting away from games, but you know that Thrawn's people, like his troops, everybody in the Chimera would
They've
follow
always
his
been
order.
loyal. Like
They trust
yeah,
him with everything.
Yeah.
You know?
I always thought that
That
was.
would be the most awesome like little twist, like in Ahsoka if they took that and we're like, we're gonna do that, which I don't think we are. But
No.
how
but it is,
crazy
it is
would that
really
be?
amazing
You know what I
that
mean?
they've still kept true to some of those things even way back
Yeah.
then. That Thrawn is like a diehard. He's super smart. He's the tactician. He's rose through the ranks super
Yeah.
fast. His troops are always loyal.
Yeah.
That's stuff that's carried over from the very first Timothy
Yeah.
Zahn books all the way through. So I always like that. I always think things like that are fun.
You know, what's funny would be if we went back and watched episode 9 and we see like the Chimera way back in the back.
It's one of the cameo
Yeah,
ships.
that'd be awesome. No,
That's
but
nice.
one game I do want to talk about before we wrap up. It is not out yet. Well, actually, 2 games. We'll talk about the first one that is out, being Squadron. Squadrons. The
Squadrons.
newer
It's a flight sim.
pilot game. That game, in my opinion, had so much potential.
God, it had so much potential. I was so
It's not awful,
hyped for this
but it's
game.
like it's not good. Like,
And no one plays it anymore. If you
No.
try to play, there's no matchmaking.
what was it? Me and you played it not long ago, and we were in a lobby for
trying again.
15 minutes.
Waiting for like 4 people to join.
Yeah, and there was never enough people. It's going to happen, unfortunately, but get away from there, you little
But
kitty
for
kitty.
a new game, yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild. So, newish.
Newish, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. It had so many like interesting mechanics that you could do little drifting in your
Yeah.
ships, and you could customize the ships and have different loadouts and all that. I think they might have went like maybe a little too technical to the general fan base, and
Right.
they ended up like I don't know. It's like the game was too tough maybe, and it wasn't as fun. I don't know if
I
that's
mean,
why it died.
like
But
the
if you
maps
think
were
that
cool.
was what people wanted.
Yeah, the maps were cool. I liked them. There was the map where you had all the asteroids around. You were flying around those where you're trying to fight. That was cool. Like I said, it had a lot of potential in that game, but they just, they kind of bit the bullet on that one. So it's
I
like,
agree.
all right, whatever.
I agree.
The next game, which isn't out yet, that's getting ready to come out, is Outlaws.
Outlaws also has a lot of potential.
It looks
Hopefully it's
okay.
going to be good. It looks to me from what I see like it's going to be great, but
The
I
only
don't
thing
know.
I see negatively is like, which granted, the videos that they're releasing aren't going to be what we're going to see in the game on screen.
Yeah.
It's usually like the rough cut stuff like that, but like some of the graphics, like the explosions and stuff like that, aren't as good as what it should be.
For such a new modern game.
Right, like the explosions and stuff like that. Like
Right.
you'll have grenade explosions. It's like it's not as good as you would think. Like
yeah,
Battlefront 2, the newest one, and like just off of what we've seen,
right.
has better grenade explosions, better blaster looks, stuff like that. But other than that, it looks like it could be overall a good game, a great game. The fact that
Yeah.
it's open world, as long as they do an actual open world game,
It's
and not claim like some games will come out and they're like, oh, it's open world, but you can only go so
right.
far.
Well, the problem that you run into with a lot of the it's made by the same Assassin's Creed team that's made the Odyssey one, the Greek one. And that same team that's one of my favorite ones in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Assassin's
definitely.
Creed series. But it is also like a massive world with sometimes an overwhelming amount of stuff to do. And I don't know if what I've heard is that the approach in this is to kind of make that a lot simpler and to kind of make the world more dense so there's more stuff to do and every square foot looks good, but it's hard to know how much is them just trying to hype up their own game
Right.
versus what it's
Well,
actually
we had
gonna
the
be
same
like.
thing, and this is my opinion, when Starfield came out. That game was hyped up. It looked great, and then I
Yeah.
get into it. I played it for 2 hours, and I was like, no, I don't like it. The piloting was horrible. The
Ship combat. is
ship
rough.
combat was rough. Everything like that. And so now this game comes out, and you have the same look. You can fly in space. You ship combat. The
I
videos that
think
I've
the
seen
ship
of the
combat
dog,
looks great in
yes,
this.
like the
yeah.
dogfights and stuff that I've seen look amazing.
I know. I'm really curious.
But I said the
how that's
same
gonna
thing
feel.
about when Starfield came out.
Eh.
I was like, this looks awesome. It's going to be cool as crap. This is the closest thing we've had to a Star Wars campaign, whatever. And it sucked.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this game is going to come true to being what we want, what we know, what we think it's going to be.
True.
I mean, granted, of course, like we said, every game kind of has their ups and downs. But
yeah.
I'm really hoping that this game is going to be the game.
It's
that-
definitely the strongest
to
thing
life.
to look forward to, and luckily we don't have too much longer because it'll be the tail end of this month,
Yeah.
at the time of this recording anyway. We also got confirmed a third game in the Jedi series. So Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor.
Oh yeah,
They
that's
are
right.
going to be
Yeah,
doing that.
I saw
They've
that.
started production on it, but I don't know if that means 2 years, 3 years,
I
what
would.
that means.
Well,
Probably a
between
few.
Survivor and Fallen Order, or yeah, between Survivor and Fallen Order, it
Few
was
years.
2 years, I think.
I think it was 2.
Ish.
But so those are the 2 that I would say we've got on our radar to look forward to.
Yeah.
There are.
They also the Bounty Hunter, I think, is out now.
Yeah, it's
The remake of Bounty Hunter.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. I'll probably
Yeah.
end up getting that soon.
Yeah, that came out the beginning of this month. Yeah. In the mobile world, there's a couple games that are okay. There's the new. It's called Hunters.
Oh,
It's
that's
kind of like an
yeah,
arena
yeah.
shooter game. I tried it for a little bit. I'm personally not big on those, so I still tried it because I'm a Star Wars fan.
I haven't
But
tried it.
it's
I see it
okay.
a lot, and I'm like, oh, it looks pretty cool.
For
But I just
somebody
haven't
who's
played
like
it.
not into that kind of thing, I still thought it was all right. It was all right. So I
Right.
think if that was your thing, that'd be pretty cool.
Right.
But it's kind of like a mixture between like a MOBA style game and like
Right.
a, I don't know, almost like an Overwatch style game where you've
Gotcha.
got like these little objectives, but it's sort of just a little shooter.
Right. Right.
But you unlock all your characters and stuff like that. So that's the problem with those mobile games that I hate is like there's one that I loved that I was addicted to forever called Galaxy of Heroes.
That's what I was trying to think of in my head.
It's a great game, but it's like a hero collector
Yeah.
style, like a gacha
Yeah,
style
yeah, yeah.
game where you can unlock these things and you have to pay real money to continue upgrading them and all this
That
stuff. And
sucks
it's like
too.
if you don't do real money, it takes you eons, and then everybody else is better than you in the
Yeah.
game. So it's like there's so many like negatives to it, but it has a very like addicting piece to
It's
it
fun.
that I
I
can't
mean, I
stop
played it
coming
for a
back to.
long time.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. The most fun thing about it is that there's probably like 100 characters.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
every
can
time
squad
everything
them
came
all
out,
up.
they kept releasing new characters. Bad
They're-
Batch came out,
yep.
they put everybody from
Oh
Bad
yeah,
Batch in there.
yeah, and it's still like to date being updated constantly, and
You
they
see
all
ads
have,
on it too on YouTube all the time.
yeah. But I think that one's cool if that's your thing. It was mine for a long time, and I
Yeah.
finally was like, I think I might be addicted. I'm gonna get away from
Right.
but yeah, that was something at its peak I was playing that every day
Okay.
as well, and that's pretty for mobile. That's probably the best thing that's out there.
Did you ever play Galactic Battlegrounds?
Yes.
Okay.
On the computer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
that
great
game was cool too. I just thought about that one.
Yeah,
Where you could do
it's kind of like a clone of Age of Empires, but it's the
Yes.
Star Wars version.
Yes.
So you got flying things, which you didn't in Age of Empires.
It's a click and drag game, baby. Those things are
those
so
are cool. Empire at War was probably like the little bit better version of that. It was
Yeah.
more modern. And the Empire at War actually had a couple really cool features. The space battles, the ships had like hard points. So you had, StarCraft style top down view, click and drag, like you say. But the ships, when you would fight them, they actually had like hard points, so you could target engines or shields
That's
or whatever.
cool. Okay.
And it was really neat because if you would see like you blow up like a Star Destroyer's engines, and then it's just drifting through
Hulks
space
or whatever.
and
That's
stuff.
cool.
Stuff like
Yeah,
that was neat.
Battlegrounds never had that.
No,
That's
it was a
cool.
little bit more limited, but it had good ground battles
Yeah.
because it was the team that made Age of Empires.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, those were definitely some good ones, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's dead now, but there's also the online. There's a couple online games. Galaxies was a really old one I used to play a lot. It's an MMO.
Never heard of that one. I don't think.
That one was really really cool. It had like a online economy completely, kind of like Eve.
Okay.
So like a player based economy,
Right.
which was weird. But they did away with that right at the time that the Old Republic came out, and that's been out for I want to say like 18 years at this
Right.
point. So, but Old Republic's still going strong. The Old
is.
Republic.
We played
Yeah.
that together for one whole night.
A little
That's a funny story to go about. But
Yeah, classic.
the whole time we were playing it was just for me and you to finally get together to play. We get to that point and we're like, all right, we're done. And we haven't touched it since.
Yeah,
but
I
we
know.
played it for like 6 hours that night.
We'll get
I
there.
don't remember.
at
It was a
some
long
point.
time. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just like all the other games.
Sometimes there's too many games
It
out
really
there.
is.
You
It
can't
really
hit them
is.
all. We didn't even touch like the Lego series. There's a massive Lego
I
series. with,
love
like,
the
8
Lego
games.
series.
They're fun.
I mean, you have still some of the you have Shadow of the Empire and stuff like that.
Shadow of the Empire was one of my
Great
favorite
game.
games.
There is a bunch of games. There was a Clone Wars game that came out on the Wii, like for the animated Clone Wars.
Actually, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a game called The Clone Wars.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite games at the time. It was super
Really?
cool.
There was Revenge of the Sith. They
Yeah.
had that game come out on I think it was PlayStation 2.
Okay.
That game was fun. I played that a lot. But there's a bunch of different games, and unfortunately we're kind of running a little bit short on time right here. But
That's how it goes.
tons of games that we can go over still. But
Did you ever play on the original Xbox? There was a launch title called. It was just called Obi-Wan. It was called Star Wars Obi-Wan. And this was when the Xbox controllers were the big giant behemoths.
Was that the game picture? Was that when it was his Jedi Starfighter that was in the middle of the?
No, this was when
was this young Obi-Wan?
he's like a Padawan.
Okay.
Yeah, this is young Obi-Wan.
I never
was
played
after
it, but
the
I know what
first
you're
movie.
talking about. Yeah.
And it was a launch title for Xbox. I bought that right away, and it came out in conjunction with the movie. So they were like making it while they were making the movie.
That's awesome.
So they released the game. Oh, some of the older games they did that like back in the day. We don't
that's
get
how
that stuff
the
anymore.
Phantom Menace game was. I mean,
Yeah,
it came out immediately after the movie.
Mhm.
So
But nowadays, like you'd get so many leaks and stuff about a new character or
yeah,
something
you'll
like
never.
that. You know,
Yeah.
so
It's
we
not
don't
exciting
get anything
anymore.
like
Yeah.
that.
Not exciting at all.
But there are a couple of good games on the horizon we can look forward to.
Public Commandos.
Public Commando was a great game.
We completely left that out.
That's probably one of the best campaigns. Really cool story.
Me and you revert to that a lot.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot.
That's a really interesting campaign.
I liked it.
Original characters, good enough that they took some inspiration from that, and Dave
Scorch.
Filoni did, and put things like Scorch and just the Republic Commandos in general.
Yeah. Very
in
cool that
his
we saw
stuff.
them come to life in shows and stuff like that. So
For sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll bring up more and discuss more. Did you have one final thought? If you had to pick, if out of every Star Wars game that was out there, somebody came up to you and said, "I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I've never played a game before, but I love games." I don't know why that would be the case, but what's your one top like recommendation for somebody to come up to you?
I guess it would depend on what they're looking for.
Right.
If they're looking just for an all-around do everything, Battlefront. You can fly, you can use walkers, you can be a Jedi, you can be a trooper, it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't necessarily, it's fun even if you aren't great at games.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like, I just want to be a Jedi and I want to mess stuff up, Force Unleashed. Those would probably be the two games that I would throw somebody on.
I think those are great
Yeah.
picks. Those are great picks. And you get good story. But the new modern Battlefront, they put a campaign in. It's actually
It's not
surprisingly
bad, it's pretty
good.
good, yeah.
Yeah. It's not phenomenal, but it's
not
surprisingly
bad,
good
yeah.
for what it is. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to stop at.
Okay.
And those are some really good recommendations. So we could take a little break and then jump over to a new game we're going to try out, see how this goes.
Sweet.
All right. All right, thanks for joining back in. Now, in this part, we're going to be doing a new game that we've never tried before. So we're calling this one Forbidden Sith Text. Yeah, I just made that up.
That's really good.
That was not
that
bad.
was nice.
So the idea is it's a lot like the game Taboo, if anybody's familiar with that. But basically, we're going to have a card that we're going to get. That's our prompt.
Mhm.
And we're going to take turns. I'm trying to get you to say the thing on the card. It can be like a person, place, or thing.
Okay.
But I'm going to have several words I'm not allowed to say in the instance of that
Right.
prompt. That's where the forbidden words
Okay.
aspect comes from. And we'll each have timed rounds, and we're just going to essentially try to do this cooperative and see how many we get in each round. Try to go through. In this case, since we're doing it this way, we're going to have to kind of just self-regulate, and so pay attention basically to your own,
Yeah.
because I can't see the card when it's your turn. So
Right.
just if you accidentally say one of the words, you got to turn
Chuck
it over.
Right.
The only other rule I can think of that's important to mention is you can't say anything that is in the actual prompt either. So, like, for example, if the word is lightsaber, you can't say light. You can't say
Right.
saber.
Right.
Okay.
Laser sword. It works.
Unless those are in the forbidden word
right.
spot, yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we can go ahead and go. We've got a little timer here, and let's just see how this goes.
We both know what's going to happen is we're going to forget the names
This is gonna
of
be
everything.
this is gonna be really hard.
It's going to be good.
This is going to be a tough game, I think, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So, if you're ready, let's give it a go.
Let's go for it, buddy.
All right. This is a place. It is an island. It's in the new movies. It is the first.
It's where Luke was.
Mhm.
This is taking me to where we could go to where I forget things.
You can tell me to pass if you do want me to pass.
Yeah, pass. I can't remember the name of that place.
This is a place.
Okay.
This is Han Solo says it. That
Kessel?
no, it's like a throwaway place. We did go there. I'm skipping this one.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard to. Oh, this is. You'll never find another. Uh, Den of more wretched hive. Hive.
Scum and
Yeah,
villainy.
yeah.
Is
What's that place called?
Mos Eisley. Mos
Okay.
Eisley Spaceport.
Yes, but another, not Mos Eisley, but a different one. That's what that one was. But
Anchorhead.
I'm out of time. It was Mos Espa. I was trying to get you to
Mos Espa.
guess Mos
Holy crap.
Eisley, so you could go
Right,
over Mos
right.
Espa.
I would have got there. It just would have. Because I said Anchorhead because that was the first one that came to my head because that was on Tatooine as well.
Right. So the ones that we didn't get that we skipped, Octo was the
Octo.
place that you can.
I know what it was.
I knew you knew what it was. Yeah. And the one that I was having a hard time describing was Ord Mantell.
I
Or
feel like
Mantell.
just seeing the names of them are gonna make me not remember things. I feel like.
They're the words that you can't say, are pretty limiting
Yeah.
sometimes. So you got to be. It's a little tricky.
All right.
But here we go. And then you can flip that over, or I can flip it if you want.
Which one did you put?
I just flipped it face. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to see. I'm not trying to read, but. Okay.
Ready?
Yep. All right. So they use this. You hear a lot about it. And oh my goodness, in the Clone Wars, where Hondo was, when we first see Hondo, his alien race, the ship crashed with Jar Jar on it, and they were transporting a certain type of
Kyber crystal.
no.
Oof.
Okay. The Millennium Falcon always had a hard time with this. It wouldn't work sometimes.
The hyperdrive.
Yes. Let's see. X-wings had them. It's a special type of
S-foils,
blaster.
Lasers. Blaster.
It would shoot out at the bottom of the.
Torpedo. Like
usually
a personnel turret, a defense turret.
It's a type of. It's a type of missile.
Torpedo.
Yes.
Proton.
Proton. Good job. We're out
It's
of time. So we got 2.
Cool.
So that's good.
We're improving.
We're improving, buddy.
We're
So we'll
improving.
keep these 2 out since we had.
Yeah, that's cool.
Those there. The first one was spice.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to think
yeah.
of like
Yeah.
almost kind of like currency in a way.
Yeah,
but
no, you were right. I
yeah,
just
it was hard
couldn't-
for me to get there. Do you remember the scene I was talking about with Hondo and when
No,
Jar
that's
Jar?
why I was lost.
Okay, it's kind of hard. That's fine.
All right. Let's see. I'm
You want to hand me the timer and I'll flip?
Yeah. Do a couple like that.
Yep.
All right.
And 3, 2, 1. Nope.
This is a generic term for R2D2's companion.
Protocol droid.
Yes. This is. I just said it. It go. You could bleed it.
Oh, Kyber crystal.
Okay. Good. This is a person who betrayed Ahsoka in the last season.
Sabine.
In the last season, during Order 66,
Darth Maul.
has a thing on his face.
A tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse.
Yes. This is you lover, bald.
The Saj Ventures.
Nope. You lover.
I love her. Oh, Orsing. We're out. Done.
Darn, we're out of time.
It's okay.
We would have got that one.
That was good. That was a good round.
Hey, we did all right.
Yeah. You said we're getting better, and we got 4.
We're getting
So how
into
about
the
that?
vibes of it now. All right. Just, I don't know, set those over there for now.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're doing some little flippy doos here.
Some flip-a-do for you. I do want to get you. I'm gonna close my eyes real quick so I don't.
I just flipped a couple of them randomly so we'd have both styles in the middle of that. So I don't know if you want to do that too or whatever.
Okay.
Just so it's mixed up.
Oh, I messed up the pile.
It's okay.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And go. We saw it in oh my goodness, you can't say that. On the
Rogue One.
Jawas,
Sandcrawler.
the Jawa ship, right? The
Sandcrawler.
Sandcrawler. They would walk
Mining
around,
equipment.
and they'd go.
What do you
They'd make
mean?
a noise that sounds like their name as they're walking.
Oh, Gonk Droid.
Yes, I didn't know if we should skip it or not. Okay. Has 4 arms, and he likes fine addition to his collections.
Grievous. Good.
He actually, the actor just passed away.
Oh, but I'm saying the character.
Yes,
Um.
passed away before,
Burr,
right when they got done filming the show.
Oh no, I know who it is, but what's his name? Burr.
You're really close.
I know. Barack Obama.
No, skip it.
Skip.
I can't believe you can't think of it.
Can't think of it. It's the pressure.
Okay. Snow Planet. It was okay.
Dude, what the?
Do you want to know what the answers were on here? DFDF, FDF, SFSF, SFSF, SF.
Our custom
That
game.
is awesome.
Thank goodness.
I took that to advantage, buddy.
Nice. That's great.
Savvy, you did great. You did really good. That's awesome. What a gimme.
I like mixing in the other ones.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
So,
So for anybody listening, the one that he couldn't think of where the actor died just as they got done filming was Balin Skull. That was
Yeah.
the character.
it's not Barack Obama?
It is not. It really
Dang.
close.
I was close.
Kind of.
I couldn't think of his name for some reason.
No, it was Balin Skull.
What a good freaking character,
I know.
too.
And
Oh
I
my
will
God.
talk about that forever.
Oh, once
I
we get
loved
there,
it.
too.
I know.
All right, you ready, man?
Yep.
Here we go. This is a play in battle. You could play this in the first Battlefront, but not in Battlefront 2.
10.
It's a place. There's lava.
Oh, Mustafar?
No, they build things here that fly.
Lava build things that fly. Oh, and the new one. Oh.
Yes.
I can't remember. I know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
9-num too. I should have said that. This is just a generic word for an E11.
Imperial Blaster?
Okay, blaster.
Okay. I didn't know if you needed it.
This is where Rancors are supposedly from originally.
Oh, I don't know that.
This is where Maul is from.
Oh. Oh my God!
This is your Balin Skull.
This is ridiculous.
When I said time.
I'm done. No.
We're out of time.
Hold on.
You
Hold
better
on.
get this.
This is ridiculous.
You know it.
I know.
Night
Dathomir.
Sisters. Yes.
Holy crap. Oh my goodness. What a horrible time that was. All right.
Flip it back to. So we got one. We got Blaster.
Is that the only one we
That's the only
got?
one we got.
All right.
Sullust. That planet was Sullust. No, Rancors are
No,
supposed to be
Solus
from
is,
Dathomir.
and you really like that planet, by the way, that map.
That map in the game was
Yeah,
great.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
He was labeled as a defective, or I guess defective's not a good word. We just watched him, the series. He had
Is it a clone? Is it a droid? Or well, you can't say.
well, you just said it, so
A
it's
clone?
clone. He had the tattoo on his face, half
Not
of his
Jesse?
half of his face. We just watched him.
Oh, fives.
No, other than fives. Who's in that same thing? In that same
Troop.
squad?
There were in the
Or
Domino
not
Squad.
fives. I'm sorry, not fives. Echo. Who is Echo? You have Echo. You have Wrecker. You have
Oh, in the Bad Batch.
yes. You have
Tech Hunter.
Hunter.
God, that took
Jesus.
Sorry.
Same thing. Where was Padme from?
Naboo.
Oh, I can't see that. In the new one, in after episodes, Jesus Christ,
We're out of time.
it was Kanan.
And was that on Naboo as well?
DFDF, FDF, SFS.
You're making that up.
I swear.
Why is it your turn every time that happens? Get in here.
Let
There.
me get that thing. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Are you? Let's flip. Ming-Na Wen's character.
Oh, Finnick Shan.
This is the
Yep.
planet. I'm trying to navigate around the words I can't say.
Planet.
That had no weapons, but yet.
Oh, Leia's planet.
Yep.
I wanted to say Dantooine. That's not it. That's the opposite. That's the one she tried to go.
Yeah, you're on it.
Oh,
You're there.
Yeah, it's Bail
can do it.
Organa.
Hmm.
Oh, skip it for now
Okay.
because we're gonna wait too long. Cat.
Oh, close. It's not a cat. Try lizard.
What?
Not a mercenary, but that sort of thing.
Bosk.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. We're out of time.
Dang
The other one is Dantooine.
All the wrong
Alderaan. Holy
places.
crap. Why did the first thing that came to mind was Dantooine. The rebel base is on Dantooine.
Huh?
That was
that's
horrible.
really
Way to go.
funny.
Way to throw me off.
All right.
I hope we get another one. Did you flip some of these?
I don't know how far it went before it got into yours, so you probably do a few.
All right, ready?
Look at me.
Witness me.
I'm ready if you are.
All right, go. Oh, in the Fallen Order Survivor games, the feller that drove the ship,
Griff.
close. It does start with, I don't know if I can say this, GR.
I
She
don't
said
say
the
Griff.
thing, but
Grim.
no.
I might not get this. It's that mechanic guy or pilot guy or whatever. I'm not gonna.
That's fine.
I don't remember.
Okay. After she got blown up, shot, and the movie you couldn't remember,
Kira.
she became part of
Red Suns.
the ship.
Oh, the Millennium Falcon.
Yes. No. Yes. But what is
L3.
okay? Whew, I was nervous. In episode 5, where Luke fell through, it's the
Wampa.
place. It's the place.
We're out of time.
Yeah, Cloud City. The other
Oh.
one was the other one was Adigalia. So
Oh, okay.
it's kind of hard for me to really
Yeah.
be able to get you on that
Weird
one,
hair things.
which could
guide on
be
the speeder
5
bike.
different. Well, that one could
I don't
have
know
been easy.
what would have been on the thing. As far as things you can't say,
Yeah.
but.
Who was it that
and we just talked
Savage?
about
Who was it
her
that
in the
Savage
game.
killed? Was that
Savage?
Adigalia? Because you have Savage Press
No.
on here.
No.
That was the other Galia.
um,
That was her sister.
That was the other one.
Okay.
Adigalia died on the
Speeder bike, and then her
Yeah.
sister died by getting the horns
Her
pushed by
her
Savage.
replacement, who looks identical to her,
Yeah.
they probably just used the same stuff.
I think it was something Galia.
Same
I'll look it
wig.
up in a little bit. But she had that on there, so then I was like, oh, crap.
Savage killed one of the
One of
two.
the others, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, and Adigalia is the one that
I'll
died
have
from
to look.
Savage, and the other one is.
But I
the
do
one-
remember that Savage, like, literally
kills
ran
one
his
of his-
horns into her. All right, well, that was good.
right next to.
So we got
Obi-Wan.
L3.
Cool. Well, that's pretty good job so far. Did you like the game?
The game's fun.
I think that's pretty cool.
The game's really
I hope it's
fun.
fun for the listeners,
Yeah,
but
I hope so.
yeah, it was a blast for
Yeah.
us. So that I think is probably a decent stopping spot. We've got a good spot on that.
I think so. Yeah, that's
Cool.
good. That works.
Definitely looking forward to a return of it.
Yeah, me too. For sure.
Nice.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you everybody again for tuning in, whether it's on YouTube or one of the other podcast apps. If you don't mind, stop over on YouTube, like and subscribe, and we really appreciate it. And as always, may the laughs be with you.
Thanks. Goodbye.